Action.
One guy is...
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends up, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everybody. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, streaming worldwide on 1069thefan.com and the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Lots of different ways to tune in, to listen. If you missed a show, you can check it out. Our podcasts are on our website and on our app, and anywhere where you subscribe to podcasts, you can find us there. Last hour, exclusively talking about Utah State football. Rough loss for the Aggies at UNLV, but showing a lot of improvement in critical areas for Utah State. A lot of different things that we've been kind of asking for or hoping for. A lot of that got answered. A few things go the wrong way for Utah State, unfortunately, and they can't get the win, even though they were in position to win twice, one at the end of regulation and one at the end of the first overtime, but missed out on both. But right now, San Diego State is 5-1. Fresno State, Boise State, New Mexico, UNLV, and Hawaii are all 4-2. So it is still a very tight race in the Mountain West with 2 games left of the regular season. Get ready for all the tiebreaker scenarios because there's probably going to have to be a few that they look at.
Yeah, I've got to go through and try and figure some of them out. Though one interesting thing coming through on the text line, the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, kind of meshing with this topic, 2409, saying, I think it's about time everybody admitted that the Mountain West is just from top to bottom a pretty poor conference in football this year. And I kind of agree and disagree with this text at the same time because I think there are, you still have some bottom feeders, but like look at last year's conference where you had the Aggies at 4-8, you had Hawaii and Air Force at 5-7, and Air Force had to go on like a 5-game winning streak just to get to 5-7. It felt like San Jose at 3-9, Wyoming at 3-9, Nevada at 3-10, and now you look at this year, you do have your Colorado State in Nevada and in San Jose kind of all meshing with each other. You have Air Force there, but like you have what 6 teams that are bowl eligible already, and I think that's more bowl eligible teams than the Mountain West had all of last year. So that's kind of where I'm like, this team feels like the middle portion of the conference is stronger than it was last year, and I don't know if the bottom is as bad as it was last year, though. It's hard for me to put myself back in last season's shoes on the drop of a hat. But as far as the top, like obviously, you had Boise State, who was in the playoff. You had UNLV, who might have been able to go to the playoff if Boise hadn't been having that season. Yeah, Boise goes 12-2. They're
two great teams.
Yeah, two great teams both of those teams would win the conference undefeated against this year's Mountain West, in my opinion. Like, I don't think there's really anybody who would stand up to them.
Well, San Diego State's not out of contention for the college football playoff. I mean, it's still a possibility that they could get there.
Except the only reason for that is because the American keeps cannibalizing itself.
Yeah, but the Mountain West, I wouldn't say that it's top to bottom bad. I think there's a lot of parity. I think that there's some really good competitive football being played. It is a little bit drunk that from week to week, you don't know what's going to happen. But it doesn't have that top level, like really, really, really good team or 2 good teams. But there's a lot of good football in the middle.
Yeah. And I think that's where you can make the argument that it's a poor conference overall, because they just don't have those teams that are able to dominate the conference, where bad teams can beat the best teams in the conference because the top end isn't as good. But I don't think that it's if you compare it to the power conferences, yeah, it's probably a poor conference this year because there's nobody in the conference that can really stand up to a power conference. And that's where I say I kind of agree and disagree with the text at the same time. I think the core point has some truth to it. But I think top to bottom, I feel like the conference is closer to itself and a little bit better in the middle and back end than it was last year. But again, last year's top end was just so much better that it's not even funny.
Yeah, right now, James Madison, North Texas, and Tulane, those three non-P4 programs are ranked. San Diego State is receiving votes, but even Navy is ahead of them. So they've got some things that need to happen outside of their own control to help put them in a position to be in that representation from the group of 6 in the college football playoff. But yeah, it's a couple more weeks still up to play with conference championship games still. So we'll see. It's not, they're not out of the running just yet.
Yeah, and a couple more texts before we jump into basketball. 6543 saying, have we ever had a softer home schedule than this year in recent years? Off the top of my head, 2018.
Yeah,
that was pretty soft.
2018 was very soft.
I need to double check 2021.
And they ran away from all their home opponents.
2012 was also like it's an odd coincidence. Utah State's best seasons have coincided with their some of their weaker schedules, but like they murdered those teams. Of course, last year they had a all right schedule. They soft at points.
Yeah.
But yeah, the difference between the home schedule and the road schedule is like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. They played all their tough teams on the road and all their easier opponents at home, and it's weird how much that's lining up.
So yeah, one more home game. I don't know if I'd say that's a.
See if you can pull off 6-0, 0-6.
It's probably the weakest Boise State's been in a while. So
yeah, that's true. So see if you can pull that off. And then 9310 saying I can agree that the conference is kind of meh, but I think it's just reality for the NIL era for G5 schools. Yeah, and in football, that's something that's really hard. Is to build an entire team with NIL. You just need so much money at every position group, and the G5 just doesn't have that. They can maybe have, a strong player here or a strong unit there, but it's really hard to put together an entire unit, and it's a lot easier in basketball where one player can sometimes make the difference between being a contender or not. In football, you need like at least 10 high-level players and then like another 20 or 30 solid players. And it's that just costs too much money.
Yeah, with basketball, you're not spreading it around as quite as many people. 9776 asked this question. We got another one that's related. Question for Monday. What would it take? This was sent on Friday night. What would it take to get the Ridgeline versus Green Canyon 4A state championship game moved to Maverick Stadium? It'd be really cool for the kids to be able to play in front of the whole valley. I think it could be an electric atmosphere that would have way more community support, especially if it wasn't at 11 a.m. on a Thursday. And then 4781 just texting in pretty much the same question. Are they going to move the 4A championship to Maverick Stadium?
From what I've heard, the answer to that question is no.
Yeah, from what I understand. Now, it would be great if they did. And it would be great if Utah High School Activities Association heard from you and encouraged them to make that move. But from what I understand, they've got all their things lined up where that championship game this week is one of several games taking place in the same venue. So they've got all their personnel, all their stuff lined up to handle multiple games in one venue on one day. And so moving it this logistically and expense-wise, I don't think they really want to do that, though you would think that putting it here closer to where their fan bases are, you'd sell more tickets.
I'll say this. There are avenues that are in place for if they wanted to, they could do it, and they are choosing not to. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, look, Utah State football's on the road. They're not going to get in the way.
Yeah, I'm not saying it would be easy for them to do it, but they could if they wanted to, and they don't.
Yes.
And I'll leave their motivations for other times because Mama told me to only say nice things.
2409, circling back on a previous comment, adding to my previous statement, when did 6-6 make you a good team? It doesn't. I mean, it means you've met the standard of mediocrity. Congratulations. Yeah. But it does mean that you are rewarded with postseason opportunity.
Yeah. If you have more 6-6 teams than the year before, then that makes the middle part of the conference better. So yeah, it's I think the middle is stronger. There's more contention. There's more parity. But like, if you did an average rankings of everybody, it would probably be down from last year. But I think the bottom end is slightly higher, and the middle is higher than it was last year as well.
Yeah, it's just that top line just isn't quite as high. Then 4781. So they're greedy, is what you're saying.
I don't think greedy is the right word because they'd probably make more money. It's more of the effort, and also certain media companies really not wanting to have to put in any effort. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, because Sardine Canyon is so insurmountable.
Yeah, you
pass.
Having to actually travel to, help elevate high school athletes. Heaven forbid you have to have the most minor of inconveniences.
But what a cool opportunity, though. Ridgeline, #1 team all year. They've been blowing away their opponents. Great offense, great defense. Buzzsaw all the way through. Last year, they stumbled in the semifinals, and they weren't able to get to the championship game. This year has been kind of a revenge season for them. Then for Green Canyon, it's a team that's kind of been a little bit up and down through the year, but defense has always been kind of their calling card. And they have been an underseeded team, had to go on the road multiple times against higher-seeded teams and keep finding ways to win and find themselves in the championship game versus their Region 11 rivals. So really cool opportunity to see those two square off against each other in a rematch that earlier in the year, Ridgeline took care of business, but Green Canyon did slow Ridgeline down a little bit below what they normally get. So, but this Green Canyon team is playing different now than when they looked even a month ago.
Yeah, it's a team that you could have counted out, I think, 4 straight times now. How many games they've played in the playoffs? At 4 now?
This will be their 5th.
Yeah, so like I think I've counted them out and not expecting them to win 4 times now, and I've been wrong 4 times. So at this point, I don't have any right to say whether or not they have a chance to win because my instincts have been wrong 4 times.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'd love to see that up here in northern Utah. You'd get more people there than trying to get them out of the middle of the day, students out of the middle of the day.
And I'm going to be there.
Running down to Salt Lake. But hopefully there's cooler heads or smarter heads prevail and make that change.
Yeah.
But
everyone call them. Make them.
Send a note. Give them a call. Send them an email.
Have all your friends.
Let them hear you.
Like if they hear from everyone, they might change their minds. We'll see. It have to happen pretty quickly. 4781 kind of amending their thing saying lazy greed. And I'd say, again, if they were greedy, they'd 100% have moved this.
Right, because you're going to sell more tickets in Logan than you are in Salt Lake.
You could sell tickets to Thursday championship games, and then like you could have it on Friday or something like that, and you'd be able to sell more tickets. And 8968 pointing out, I won't read the whole text, but pointing out that when they had an all Cache Valley team in the championship game, and it was like 1987-ish, I think.
Late 80s, yeah.
Yeah, it was based off what we were having this conversation after the Bronco Mendenhall press conference. We're having this exact same conversation. They set the high school attendance record for any game, like any high school event ever in the state of Utah. The highest attended one was between Skyview and Mountain Crest in the late 80s at, then Romney Stadium. So, like, if this was just pure greed, they'd have done it yesterday. But it's, again, laziness or apathy is, if you want to think negatively of them, but there's also a part of me that doesn't really blame them for not doing it either. So,
and 4781 with the challenge. Jason, please say that Green Canyon has no chance. I'd love for you to be wrong.
Here, I'll tell you. Green Canyon has no chance. Ridgeline will win by 35 points. There you go.
Okay, so that game, wherever it happens, we are going to have a broadcast crew there to cover it on Thursday. We're going to have Dave Simmons, who normally is the play-by-play voice for Ridgeline, at least for most of their games this season. And then Stockton Jukes, who has been the play-by-play voice for pretty much all of the Green Canyon games this season. So those two will join forces and provide the full play-by-play coverage on local radio wherever that game happens, currently scheduled for 11 a.m. in Salt Lake City.
So are we going to have them in their non-biased mode, or can we just tell them to... Mind you, these are guys that are normally, pretty fair-minded for the most part, but like just tell them, both of you lean into your biases as much as possible and see if you can get into a fight on air.
Just be excited for your team, the team you normally call. Let's go all in.
Just imagine, that's a PI. No, it's not.
So that'll be fun. So it'll be on 104.5 The Ranch and 100.9 Light FM. So multiple ways to listen and follow along. Also for those maybe out of the area, ways to listen on CashValleyDaily.com as well. Yeah. Catching up on a variety of different topics.
Yeah. Why don't we take a break, because we can have this transition and head into our planned topic for this second hour. That's Utah State men's basketball, also women's basketball as well. Talking about their win over UTEP, a defensive showcase, might even say masterpiece, but also concerns over three-point shooting. How real is that? I've run some numbers and looked at some things, and I'll tell you how worried you should be about Utah State's recent three-point shooting. That's all coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop your canned foods off at the Advanced Fireplace and Stove showroom across from DI, or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. The Advanced team will match all contributions and offer the first month free when joining the Advanced Comfort Club. Find out more at advancedheating-ac.com. Donate to the Advanced Canned Food Drive for local families.
Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm.
With down-home country prices and big city selection.
E-I-E-I-O. When you're looking for a friendly spot to drive a little and save a lot, hey, Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm. Darrell's Appliance. No overhead, but lots of country charm. See Darrell's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
Looking for a luxurious local space to host your next gathering? The Hive Event Center in downtown Logan brings modern elegance to your wedding, private party, or business event. Your guests will be amazed at the glamorous design, and you'll benefit from the advanced tech included in every rental, from DIY parties to full-service packages. 255 South Main in Logan behind Beehive Grill. Luxury lives here. The Hive is your place to gather.
Luxury lives here. Luxury lives here. The Hive.
See us online at thehivelogan.com.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. When it comes to home care, it's important for you to know you do have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of home care services, remember Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient, not the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Call for a free home safety evaluation, 787-1369, and visit primrosecare.com. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
That storm over the weekend, there's more snow in the mountains. At Young Power Sports of Logan, they're ready for the snow. And right now, you get blowout pricing on all 2025 Ski-Doo and Polaris snowmobiles, up to $6,000 off. And don't forget, Young Power Sports offers free pickup and drop-off for service, plus free preseason checks on all snowmobiles just off South Main in Logan. Young Power Sports Logan, where your winter adventure begins. Well, Utah State had themselves a pretty good Saturday going. The Utah State women's basketball team won, and it was an exciting game. Elise Livingston put together an 8-point run all on herself.
Yeah, in the span of like 90 seconds, I think. She had 8 points. She had 15 for the game. They had 8 points in a 90-ish second span that turned the game from like 60, it was like 69 all or something like that. Did she have all of the last 8 points?
I don't know if she had all of them.
Yeah, because I think it was tied, and she scored. Oh no, she scored 6 straight that went from, because they were at 67, and she scores 8 straight from there. It was tied at 69, but she had 2 straight 3-pointers to turn from 69-69 to 75-69. The Aggies get 2 more points at the end of the game. I think somebody hit free throws, and the Aggies come away with a 77-69 win over Omaha. It was little sketchy at times. The Aggies were a bit streaky, but they shot like 30% from the field in the first half, and then they shot like 60% in the second half. They shot 7 of 10 from 3 in the second half after making like 1 or 2 threes in the first half. And they just went off. And what was also one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen, and not because of a number of fouls against Utah State, like those referees were the easiest referees to bait into fouls I have ever seen.
Wow.
Like Aaliyah Gales, so this is a Utah State player, like in the fourth quarter, and they were needing points, and she was just throwing herself into the paint and wild, reckless, and the referees would just call a foul. Didn't matter what happened. Didn't matter even if there was like legit contact or not. And then on the other end, you had a player who would get touched, and she'd literally throw herself to the floor, and the referees would call a foul. Like literally, she'd pick her feet up off the ground and throw herself to the ground. And they would call a foul.
Yeah, so bizarre.
And so it was
still a nice win for Utah State.
It was a good win, refereeing aside. It was a good performance, a good rebound from the Aggies, who now in 2 straight games have picked up some kind of gutsy wins where things weren't going well for a lot of the game, and I guess that happened at CSUN. At Cal State Bakersfield, where they were on the road, pulled that off, and then at home, in front of a pretty decent crowd, one of the better crowds I've seen at a Utah State women's basketball game for a while. And that energy in the crowd really helped, I think. And I asked Wes Brooks about it, and he said, yeah, it definitely helped.
There was a question a little bit about that. 4781 asking, did USU mess up their attendance for men's basketball, saying you needed to go to the women's game first? They ended up letting everyone in, but by then, anyone going was already there.
And that was interesting. Well, because it was for the students, and the student section was a lot more sparsely attended than I was expecting, at least the section behind the hoop. I don't really ever have a good idea of how many people are in the sideline section, because that's literally right behind me, and I don't have eyes in the back of my head. I'm not a mom, so I don't have that superpower. Not that I think it really impacted the environment that much, but it wasn't like peak spectrum. And yeah, like students, they had to claim a ticket to the women's game to get into the men's game, except it was weird because I heard an announcement during the game that they were clearing out the entire stadium, and then you had to come back in.
Yeah,
so it was like,
weird.
What's going on there? So I didn't mind you, like I got to stay in the stadium the whole time, but media and all that. So
yeah.
And plus I had to go up all the way up to do the press conference and then come back down. By then, people are already filing in for a second time or for a first time, I suppose. But attendance was still all right. What was the attendance? I'm going to look it up real quick.
While you do that, we'll get to some other texts coming through. 6543. Which is the better scenario? 29-1, and we get bounced in the first round, or 20-10 with some tough games, and we get 2 NCAA wins?
I think most people would probably take the 2 NCAA wins because that's something they haven't seen as much before. But yeah, having one loss and that coming in the first round like that, it would be a weird mix of, absolute peak, like going undefeated in a season. Like that's something that would just be absolute amazing. But then like the embarrassment of losing the first round would be,
despite that record.
Yeah, it would be pretty harsh. It's a lot like how I remember the 2007 Patriots.
I have a
lot of mixed feelings about that.
It would be the year the Aggies had 30 wins and they missed the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Just because they lost the championship game in their conference tournament. Did you find the attendance number?
Yeah, it was about 8,000. It was like just shy of 8,000.
7994. I was at the men's basketball game. We definitely played tougher and rebounded a ton better. However, 3-point shooting was horrible again.
Yeah. Then 471, before I dive into that, saying the student section behind you was only half full. So there's that note. But yeah,
3-point shooting, rough outing at against VCU.
It wasn't rough at 3-point shooting at VCU. They were actually okay there.
No, sorry, Weber State.
Yeah, Weber State.
It was Weber State it was rough, where they really could not connect. But then they didn't really follow or have a bounce back game. It was a little better, but they're still struggling from beyond the arc.
Yeah, I think they doubled their 3-point percentage from 13 to 26.
Yeah. So is this time to start to panic, or is this just, these are a few games early on, they'll be okay. They've got shooters, they'll be okay. Or is this team maybe not as good at shooting the three as we thought and suspected they could be?
So let me try and put this in spoken form. The problem is that I have this mapped out like a chart, and I might have to write a whole article about this because sometimes it's easier to digest being able to see some of these numbers instead of having them spoken at you through your headphones. But let me try and simplify this as much as I can over air, where I went and I included some numbers from the exhibitions just because I'm trying to get the biggest picture possible. Because when you're working with small sample sizes, a lot of these can be exaggerated. So when I try and gather as much data as possible, I have over 6 games. This is including the exhibitions against Seattle and San Francisco. Utah State is shooting 35.7% from three. And to give some context, if you look at the the last season, the last full season, and I use that to get an idea of what it looks like over a full season, they would have tied for 78th at that percentage. Although right now it would currently rank 119th, but some of that is because there are some teams that, they shoot like 50% over their first 3 or 4 games. The Aggies did that over their first 2 games. They were shooting like 55% over their first 2 games. So if you take everything they've done so far, they're an okay 3-point shooting team. Even top 100, if you look at that 3-point shooting percentage, what it would look like over a full season span. But it's also maybe not the greatest start, where these are some of the weaker teams you're playing. You probably should be shooting a little bit better. But then if I look at, what about the games before? So if I exclude Weber State and UTEP, what's their 3-point shooting percentage look like? That's 4 games. It's 43.6%, which if you put it against this year, that'd be 17th in the country. Last year, that would have been first.
Yeah,
because nobody over a full season shoots 40%. But
no.
That'd
be great numbers.
Yeah, but even in context of, hey, it's early season and a lot of teams sometimes overperform their 3-point shooting numbers early, they'd still be doing pretty good in context. And even if you exclude the Westminster outlier, they'd still be doing all right 3-point shooting. So it's really 2 games that Utah State is shooting incredibly poorly in. And so the question is Utah State just a bad 3-point shooting team, or is there an anomaly happening? Because that happens to teams. Something I mentioned in the post-game press conference, and I don't know if I mentioned it in my recap or not. I think I did. Because last year, Utah State had a 2-game shooting stretch against Wyoming and New Mexico. So it was in the middle of conference play, where they shot like under 20% in both of those games. Looking up the exact ones here. Yeah, so it was in early February, they shot 16% at home against New Mexico from 3, and then their next game, a road game at Wyoming, they shot 16%, just under 16%. And so I was like, yeah, you can and this is a team that through the course of the season ranked decently well. They shot almost 36% from 3 for the entire season. It was a good 3-point shooting team. But they had a couple of games where they just shot awful. And so that kind of thing can happen to a good shooting team. Not 1 game, but 2 games of shooting poorly. But this is the number that I went out and calculated to see, okay, is it Utah State taking bad shots? Are things just going poorly? So I went to one of the resources I have, which kind of measures, it has a stat where guarded shots, like if you're closely defended, because they're able to chart that out, and unguarded. It's basically open 3-point shots. And Utah State over the last 2 games has shot 4 of 20 on essentially open 3-pointers. These are catch and shoot rhythm. These are your highest percentage 3-point shots you get. Most decent teams will shoot 40% on this type of shot because it's in rhythm. You're open. There's not a really good contest. It's catch, shoot, and you're not really worrying about anything. If there is a closeout defender, he's like 5 feet away. Utah State has shot 20% on these, which is again, half of, last year they shot 39, in the high 39.8% on these type of jump shots. And right now they're shooting 20% over the last 2 games. So they're just missing open 3-pointers that they normally make. And that earlier in the season, they were making. They made a bunch of these shots, for instance, against Westminster and VCU. they were shooting in the 50s and 60s on these wide open 3-point looks. But then they shot, again, very poorly against Weber State and UTEP. So they've just, for whatever reason, when they're getting these open 3-point looks, they're just missing them. And I don't think that holds.
Yeah.
If you're getting quality shots and you're missing them, if you keep taking quality shots, you are eventually going to make them, because these are good 3-point shooters that are taking them. Mason Falslev, MJ Collins is an improved shooter. Tucker Anderson's a good shooter. These are guys who will make these 3-point shots because they're good shooters. They're just pretty clearly going through a cold spell. They're not shooting bad 3-pointers and missing them. They're shooting good ones, and it's just not working out in this case. And they'll get back to the drawing board to maybe make sure that they're getting the most good 3-point shooting attempts. But I think they're going to pull themselves out of this cold shooting spell. I don't think there's really much to be worried about with their 3-point shooting.
Yeah, it's a 2-game stretch that's not real pretty. They found ways to win despite it. So
yeah, and
I'm not like overly concerned. Oh my gosh, this is how this team is built. They're not making their threes. They're not going to last very long if they don't make their threes. This team is finding out other ways to win. But this is a team with guys who can shoot. And for whatever reason, they're just, most of them are in a slump. But I don't think that we need to really raise the alarm bells just yet. Something to keep an eye on for sure. But I almost wonder if, because so much emphasis is being paid on defensive effort, if guys just don't have the juice to do what they need to do from beyond the arc. But generally, that should be fine. Like if they're moving around, and as deep as this team is, they've got guys who can come in and contribute and do some things. So I'm not overly concerned. It's an odd 2-game stretch, but it is improving, but at a very glacial pace. But I think they'll be okay. There's enough guys on this team who know how to shoot the ball. Just they need to keep shooting. Shooters shoot. The more you shoot and get comfortable and get your ball, get that ball back, then I think they'll be fine.
And one thing you kind of point out, there's finding ways to win. And something that I would point out is that, in a VCU game where they only make 6 3-pointers, they win that game by 3. And if they don't have this weird defensive hiccup at the end, and even a bit of an offensive hiccup where they weren't making as many shots, they win that game by double digits. But they still win that one by 3 anyway. So they win that one. They beat Weber State by 10. Mind you, when you look at I mentioned the 2 games last year where they shot poorly. New Mexico, they lost that game by 19 at home to a team that ranked 41 in KenPom. VCU, again, a team they didn't make many threes against. They shot well percentage-wise, but they didn't make many. They ranked 64 in KenPom, and they beat them. And were dominating that game for much of it. When they were at Wyoming and they shoot 15% from 3, they barely crawled out of that game with a 4-point win. And Wyoming finished 185 in KenPom. UTEP, a team that they shot 26% from 3, they smacked that team by 24. Could have won by 30 if UTEP doesn't get a couple of garbage time 3-pointers in the final minute. So when they were shooting this bad last year, they were either getting killed or barely winning. This year, when they've made 15 threes over 3 games, they got a win over at the time top 50 team in KenPom. They beat a team by a Weber State team that's probably underrated. They're probably going to rise into the top 200. Beat them by 10. And then they kicked the crap out of a UTEP team, a decent UTEP team. That's what this year's team is doing versus last year when they couldn't hit a dang shot from the outside. It was terrible news. And this year they're finding ways to not only win, but at times still dominate, even without that 3-point shot.
Gary Clark's certainly been a big part of that here recently, and he was recognized as the Mountain West Conference Player of the Week. Great performance by him in back-to-back games. Certainly was the star for Utah State against UTEP with 20 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. The guy was doing so many different things to help his team win. off the bench, and he's been very, very efficient for Utah State here recently. And a lot of fun to watch him play and really control that paint and that low post for Utah State. While the outside shots may not be going, Gary Clark is proving to be very reliable in the low post and making things happen for Utah State on grabbing rebounds and giving themselves extra opportunities too. 5 offensive rebounds for Utah State from Gary Clark.
It's weird that he would get it this week because arguably his worst game of the year was this week, where he had the 13 points and only 5 rebounds against Weber. I think he was in foul trouble for a lot of that game. Oh, yeah, it was. He fouled out in that game. But, the game against UTEP was obviously fantastic. And I need to look up. I meant to look this up earlier, how many times guys have had this many double-doubles coming off the bench. It has happened, guys getting double-doubles off the bench. Carson Templin has a few of those from last year, I think. But it's this is a guy who's 4 games into the season, has come off the bench, has topped out at 32 minutes, and has 3 double-doubles. Calhoun, before the season was talking about how guys aren't going to play as big a role as maybe they did at their previous spot, and he kind of offhandedly said, well, Gary Clark's probably not going to average 15 and 8, referencing his stat line from last season with Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Well, and I kind of joke with Calhoun in the postgame press conference, well, he's averaging 15 points and 10.8 rebounds. So he's not averaging 15 and 8. He's averaging 14 and 11. Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to keep that up because guys can tend to average a lot of rebounds against weaker non-conference opponents, but you can tell how good of a rebounder this guy is. And I don't even think he's unlocked his full offensive suite because there's a post game that he has that they've not really gone to as much. He's mostly been playing more of a Justin Bean-esque, where it's he's just getting a bunch of offensive rebounds and then dump-off passes and making a ton happen there, where that was a lot of what Justin Bean did till senior season Justin Bean. He actually expanded his offense and was doing more, but freshman, sophomore, junior Justin Bean, he would get 10 or 11 points, but he wouldn't really create anything for himself. Gary Clark has been doing that early this season, and I don't think we've seen him yet create for himself on offense, but I think he has that. And so you're going to see that a little more at some point. And once 3-point shooters start, getting on fire too, that's going to open up space for
create
him.
A lot more space.
And that'll allow him to have more of that post impact as well.
I got to take another time out here in the Full Court Press. Love to get your thoughts, your reactions to what's happening with Utah State men's basketball, women's basketball too, if you want to weigh in on that. It was also a great day for Utah State volleyball. They won on Saturday as well. So it was mostly a really good Saturday for Utah State athletics. We're going to take a quick time out. We'll be right back here on the Full Court Press.
Spend less time at the post office. With Formax and Mint mailing systems from Les Olson IT, you can quickly, accurately, and easily process your outgoing mail and even save on postage. Fold your documents, stuff and seal your envelopes, print addresses, weigh and measure to apply proper postage, all with the click of a button. With multiple model options available, you're sure to find a Formax solution and Mint mailing device that perfectly fits your business needs.
Les Olson IT.
Hi, it's Emily with Serenoni, and our holiday season is here with some of the best prices of the year. Cozy up your home this holiday season with Serenoni. Check out our new holiday collection with faux fur and minky tree skirts, Christmas stockings, and blankets in elegant holiday prints that make your home feel warm, beautiful, and ready for the season. Visit our store on 10th West next to iFit, shop at Locals by Old Navy, or order online at Serenoni.com. Serenoni, bringing comfort, warmth, and connection this holiday season.
Need a great deal near USU? Mention Aggie 79 and score a room at the Baum Hotel for just $79. Enjoy charming, homey hospitality in downtown Logan. You'll love the clean, spacious rooms and friendly, attentive staff. Take advantage of free breakfast, free Wi-Fi, and a seasonal outdoor pool. At that price, it can't be beat. $79 rooms with Aggie 79 at the Baum Hotel. Value every day of the week. Call 435-752-5220. That's 752-5220.
At Mountain Valley Heating and Air, it's more than just service. They provide top quality installations for both residential and commercial spaces. So you're not just getting equipment, you're getting a whole team of professionals dedicated to making sure you and your family truly feel the love. Whether it's a brand new installation or replacing an old system, trust the experts who care. Feel the love with Mountain Valley Heating and Air. That's mtnvalleyhvac.com.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Before we talk about other Utah State athletics, just saw this note, need to pass this along. But San Jose State, we're talking about that team is struggling, the Spartans. Their football program, they fired defensive coordinator Derek Odom and special teams coordinator Joe Palchik after San Jose State lost 55-10 to Nevada over the weekend.
4781, I do not appreciate the texts.
You should read the text. No one else knows what it says.
No, I don't know.
Jason, what happened to the 2007 Patriots? Can you enlighten me? And then Manning somehow escapes the pocket, launches downfield. It's caught. David Tyree pins it against his helmet. Good memories, right?
No. Specifically, no.
Excuse me. We're talking about there were a variety of things that went well for Utah State athletics over this weekend. The Lady Aggies able to buckle down and close out a win and clutch situation, beat Omaha. They've got 2 wins on the season so far. Utah State men's basketball clamping down on defense and putting UTEP away, winning by 24 at home. Utah State volleyball continues to win. Their undefeated streak continues. But unfortunately, there were a few other bookends to those performances. It was the soccer in the NCAA tournament at BYU. Goes to extra time. Eventually, it ends up in PKs, a shootout. Goes 11 rounds. Unfortunately, Utah State not able to capitalize on opportunities that they were given to seal that victory and win in Provo. And then kind of in eerily similar fashion, Utah State at UNLV Saturday night, getting it to extra time and goes to kicks, essentially. And Utah State misses theirs while UNLV able to win and get a touchdown on a jet sweep on basically their first possession of the second overtime. So in the middle, a lot of really good things happening for Utah State athletics.
Yeah, you seal an outright championship where the Aggies volleyball had already sealed a partial share of at least a partial share of the Mountain West title. Now they're outright. They could not show up the rest of the year, and they're already chiseling the Mountain West trophy with their name on it and 2025 champions. Much deserved, and I need to see if has anybody actually gone undefeated in volleyball.
For their entirety of the season?
Oh, for the Mountain West
for
portion.
Conference schedule?
And
that's a good question.
I meant to look that up. It's one of the things that I was jotting down over the weekend of things I needed. As I know, there's already like 2 or 3 things I meant to look up on Monday here. But yeah, the soccer and football just you could have had the most magical weekend, and they were basically 2 kicks away. Like that's literally how close they were to having one of the better weekends in Utah State sports history. I mean, maybe there are some in like March that were maybe a little bit better, but with basketball doing some things, but like getting an NCAA tournament win, I think would have been the first ever NCAA tournament win if memory serves. Where again they had multiple chances, could have gotten a save. Taylor Rath made 2 saves in penalty kicks in those, at least in the first 5, and so you can't ask anything more from her. And there are just a couple of kicks where if they'd have made them, where they made it easy on the keeper in a couple of those kicks, they could have made it. They improved on penalty kicks because they won in PKs against Boise and maybe should have against BYU, but it's just another one of those things where we can sit here and coulda, woulda, shoulda them and be armchair quarterbacks here, but unfortunately it just didn't work for them, and that's something that they'll try and work on. A lot of those players are going to come back for this year. They do have some seniors who unfortunately that's their last go at this, but there are a portion of those who, much like last year where they put up a really poor performance in penalty kicks, this year they were sticking up with one of the better teams in the country.
And with players down and not available.
Yeah,
some of their top players were not even available.
Yeah, missing some of their some people who would have bolstered their PK lineup. So yeah, this is a team that they'll continue to grow. We saw that growth from how last year's season ended to how they managed to get better, even in adverse circumstances, performing even better. So this is where you see Manny Martins continue to coach, continue to improve as a development coach, and just as a coach in general, finding ways to make his team better, even in adverse situations.
Some other news about Utah State men's basketball today, announcing that they've signed in-state product Bryce Mella, 6'5" guard out of American Fork.
Hey, who is this?
And he'll be joining the team after he returns from a mission. So he's going to serve a mission. So it'll be a few years before we see him in an Aggie uniform. But he started his prep career at Mountain View High School in Orem. And then he transferred to American Fork for his junior season. Earned all-state honors from Deseret News all 3 years of his high school career, including being named to the Utah 6A All-State second team as a junior. So there's little basketball news from Utah State Hoops.
Yeah, so adding some recruits. I mean, if they can keep all these freshmen around next year, then they're going to have some really nice talent next year. They'll add some transfers as typical, but Jared Calhoun he's signed some pretty dang good high school recruits these last few years, and brought in some really good underrated transfers as well. So
yeah,
Calhoun showing his pretty good recruiting chops.
Mella is coming into a senior season this upcoming season, which for a lot of schools starts this week for a lot of basketball programs. But Mella already has over 1,000 career points and 200 rebounds, averaging 18.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.2 steals so far. So excited to see what his senior season will look like at American Fork. He'll graduate, then he'll go serve a mission, and then come back to Utah State. So it's going to be a minute before we see him in an Aggie uniform.
Does American Fork play anybody in Region 11 this year?
I don't recall. I don't think so. Off the top of my head, I don't think they do.
Buying time so I can.
Otherwise, it'd be fun to see a future Aggie take on one of our local teams. But
no, I do not.
I don't think American Fork was on anybody's schedule this year.
They are not, unfortunately, unless they're this random TBA opponent like next week. But I don't think so. They're like a 6A team, so they play a bunch of 6A teams for the most part.
9315. What was with Jason getting cut off in the postgame show?
Is he referring to me?
Yeah, there were a number of things that were super frustrating with how the doubleheader broadcast worked. One of them was a weird handoff with the men's basketball game still in progress, and it's just switched to the football pregame show. And then it came back, and both of them were going at the same time. And then eventually they got back to the basketball game until it concluded. But then in the post game for football, something was going weird with their mic, I guess. And so they joined the Zoom call where you guys were all interviewing coach. And mid question for you, Gerard cuts it off we're not going to do that anymore. Okay, we're going to take a timeout and we'll come back with the coach.
So wait, they were the
radio network was taking the Zoom feed.
So it wasn't you guys taking the Zoom feed. It was them.
Yes.
And then they cut us off in the middle.
Yeah, and he just abruptly cut you off. We're going to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, we heard from the coach, so we're going to go to our post-game show now.
Oh, I don't even know about that. So.
And we played back the full press conference with you and others afterwards. So we got the full thing there. So I don't know what was going on there. There's a lot of weird things that were going on.
We had some janky things happening at the station too.
Yeah, yes, we did.
That also wasn't our fault. So a lot of things that happened that were not our fault last Saturday.
Before we hit a timeout, just a couple texts here from 2444. Let's see. I think one of the things that I'm most surprised and encouraged by with this team is diversity of scoring. Aggies currently have 5 players averaging double figures in scoring, whereas last year's team only had 2, averaging 10 or more per game. We might be getting a little less scoring than expected from Mason, but so many other players have stepped up to take pressure off of him that he really hasn't needed to press things offensively. I think the improved defense will lead to more transition and easy opportunities on offense as well. And then it would be nice for USU's metrics if VCU could pull off the upset at number 25 NC State tonight. I'm interested to see where some of the other non-conference opponents like South Florida, Illinois State, and the potential MTE opponents end up with when the initial net rankings are released next month. Hopefully at least 4 to 5 Q1, Q2 matchups from the non-conference schedule. Not sure if it was good or bad for the Aggies that UNLV beat Memphis yesterday, but it certainly was unexpected.
It's kind of one of those both good and bad, because like it's good because it's a conference opponent, and then you beat the conference opponent, and there's some transitive stuff, but not good in that one of your potentially best non-conference games may or may not be tainted. It's hard to say this early in the season, but UNLV is already tainted with losses to UT Martin, and who was the other team they lost to? I forget.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But yeah, well, let's take a break. I want to talk about some of these other things. There's a lot from these two texts. We can, of course, we've also got to do pick 6 results.
Yes.
We'll see what we can pull off next segment, how much we can get to.
All right, stay tuned. It's next on the Full Court Press.
Ski season is coming, which means season ski rentals. This is Mark at the Sportsman, where we have over 20 years of season ski rental experience. We rent to kids and adults. Come in to get season ski rentals for your entire family. We like to wait a little later in the fall because there is a chance your kids might grow out of their boots by the time ski season actually rolls around. You will get the right gear for your kids to ski this year at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan, with tons of parking in the back.
Winter's here, and that old car sitting in your driveway isn't getting any warmer. Turn that frozen junker into cold, hard cash with DD Auto and Salvage in Logan. It's never too cold, too wet, or too late to clean up and cash out. DD Auto and Salvage makes it quick and easy. They'll even pick it up for you. Get the most money possible for your junk vehicle or scrap metal, and earn a little extra holiday cash while you're at it. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204. And let DD Auto and Salvage pay you today. DD Auto and Salvage. Cold cars turned into hot cash.
Thank you for letting Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic, and the Hearing Aid Center care for your family this year. Be sure to call us for an appointment before the end of the year to make the most of your cafeteria or flex funds. Located in Providence and North Logan, Cache Valley ENT also has offices in Box Elder, Rich, Bear Lake, and Franklin counties. The entire team at Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat wish you and your family a healthy holiday season. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance plans, including Select Health, are accepted.
This is my challenge to any mattress dealer in the country. Beat my price. I'm Ryan at My Mattress, and we have the best brands in the country, and we have the best prices in the country. Purple, Tempur-Pedic, Sealy Posturepedic, and Stearns & Foster. I challenge any mattress dealer in Logan, Utah, online or brick and mortar, anywhere in the country to take me up on my challenge. Beat my price. Come in today for the best prices in the country. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. 6391 on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. I like the various score contributors, but I'm worried the lack of continuity is messing with three-point shooting.
Yeah, the three-point shooting will be fine, and
it'll rectify itself.
Yeah, I think it will. And to get to a few things, just with the scoring balance, I think it's really nice. It's just that the Aggies have more players with depth. I think they're going to pretty consistently go 10 guys deep. I think they've kind of established that. Where I was thinking 9. I think they're going to go 10 deep in most games. They'll dip to 12 when they want to put Luke Kearney and Adlin Elamine in. Most games will be 10. They'll go to 11 or 12 in some games, especially in the non-conference. But Calhoun is really spreading his minutes out. Like, maybe it's the same number of players, but the minutes distribution is getting spread out even more. Where I thought Mason Falso would average like 34, 35 minutes, and I was like 30. MJ Collins, I thought maybe 34, 35. No, like 30. Gary Clark, one of their top performers, is coming off the bench. Like, they are spreading everything around, and they are taking some of the collective, they're just spreading the weight collectively around everyone fairly evenly. Like, I think it's going to be,
it'll pay dividends later, for sure.
Exactly. I was about to say, like, it's going to pay dividends down the line, but a lot of these guys have the capability to go off to play 40 minutes if they need to, but they're not going to do that consistently. And I think it will help down the line.
We always do this on Thursday. We try to predict what will happen.
We always do it on Thursday.
We normally do it on Thursday, predicting what will happen for the weekend. We call it Pick Six. And then on Mondays, we we tabulate it all together and see who was closest at predicting what would take place.
And it was close this week, Eric. Heck, it required a tiebreaker the last time, which we did like a month ago. But here are the lines. We'll start with the ones that I set. Utah State made 3-pointers against UTEP. I set the line at 8.5. Eric, you took the over. I took the under. They made 6.
Yep.
And then combined margin of victory for the men's basketball, women's basketball teams, I set the line at 29.5. You took the under. I took the over. The combined margin was 32. The men won by 4. The women won by 8. So I'm up 2-0 after a couple there. And then combined points by Utah State and UNLV in their game. The Vegas line was 68.5, and so I set it there. I took the over. You took the under. There was only 55 as the game ended 29-26. So you got one back there. Assist by Elijah Perryman, or as I wrote it in my notes, Perryman, because there's a space in there for some reason. So you said his assist number at 3.5. We knew he was going to start that game. I took the over. You took the under. He had 5. So I'm up 3-1. UNLV rush yards by UNLV rush yards against Utah State. You set the line at 185.5. I did not hesitate to take the over. But then you took the under, and well, the under hit as UNLV only ran for 146, which was on the low end for them. But they were missing Jaden Thomas. But still, good performance by the Aggie defense. So heading into the last one, Lowry Markkanen points over under 25.5. He had 47.
Crushed it.
I took the under. You took the over.
Let's go.
So 3-3 heading into the tiebreaker. This is the one I set. Drake May, total touchdowns in Thursday Night Football against the Jets. I set the line at 2.5. The Patriots won that one fairly easily, but Drake May only had 1 touchdown accounted for, at least. Did pretty well overall. You took the over, and that left me with the under.
Oh, Drake May. Let me down.
Yeah, Travion Henderson ended up accounting for 2 touchdowns. I think they only had 3 touchdowns because they had 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. They won 27-13. So my Patriots, I got the best of both worlds. I won the pick 6 line. My Patriots still won. And people are terrified that the Patriots are back, even though they've played the easiest schedule in the AFC, maybe even the entire NFL. But still, they're like 8-2, 9-2.
They're getting the wins.
Drake May leading the MVP race. Apparently,
he's been playing very solid.
Yeah, he's looked pretty well. So the hiatus between Patriots dynasties, although calling it a dynasty is absurdly premature.
Oh yes,
but people are overreacting like that. So.
By the way, just quick mention, Bobby Wagner for the Commanders led the team again in tackles with 8. Telside had 1 pass defended. And Jordan Love, even though he left the game momentarily because it looked like he got dinged up, came back in, led his team to a victory. Wasn't super pretty, but...
Well, those receivers can't catch a pass.
Yeah, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns for Jordan Love, and leading the Packers to their 6th win overall.
And we, I know one of the texters mentioned VCU playing NC State. I didn't realize that game was happening right now. I knew it was happening today, but it's 39-35 VCU trails against the 25th ranked NC State Wolfpack. But go watch that game and root for VCU. As that would be a very big win for the Aggies for their non-conference. As you root for all the teams you play except for when they play you.
Right.
Especially in what could be a resume builder for VCU.
Absolutely. Just the fact that they're playing that game helps Utah State.
Yeah, it does.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being part of the show, everybody. We'll be back at it again tomorrow at 4 o'clock here on 106.9 The Fan.
Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, and online at 1069thefan.com.